In an era where cameras are everywhere capturing every moment of our lives, it seems impossible for someone to simply vanish without a trace. Yet there are chilling cases where people disappear, seemingly into thin air while caught on camera. These images, meant to provide answers, often raise more questions, leaving families and investigators alike grappling with the unsettling mystery of what happened next. One moment they're there, smiling, walking, going about their day, and in the next they are gone, leaving behind only the haunting footage as a reminder of their last known moments. Makelya Bali's disappearance on April 12, 2016, remains one of the most unsettling and mysterious cases to emerge from Yorkton, Saskatchewan, Canada. 16 years old at the time, Makelya left her home for school that morning, seemingly ready for a regular day. But the events of that day unfolded in a way no one could have anticipated. She didn't attend her classes as planned, but instead wandered through several locations in Yorkton, her movements captured on surveillance footage. By the afternoon, she vanished without a trace, leaving her family, friends, and community desperate for answers. What began as a typical school day for Makelya turned into a baffling mystery that has endured for years, with her loved ones continuing to search for truth and closure. Makelya Bali was born on July 2, 1999 in Regina, Saskatchewan, and grew up in the close-knit community of Yorkton. As the eldest of 3 children, she was known for her nurturing and gentle nature. Her mother, Paula, described her as a shy but sweet girl who loved her family deeply, particularly her grandmother, with whom she shared a special bond. Makelya was creative and loved music, finding solace in playing the violin. She also enjoyed drawing and being outdoors, often connecting with nature and animals, especially cats, for which she had a particular fondness. Her family recalls that she had dreams of traveling and exploring the world, but never expressed a desire to leave her close family ties behind. While her school years at Sacred Heart High School were generally positive, she sometimes struggled with self-confidence and fitting in socially, though these challenges were not unusual for someone her age. The events leading up to her disappearance didn't hint at anything out of the ordinary. On the evening of April 11, 2016, Makelya spent a normal night at home with her family. There were no signs of distress, no unusual behavior, and no indication that she was planning anything out of the norm. On the morning of April 12, 2016, Makelya was dropped off at Sacred Heart High School by her grandmother. She briefly went inside to put away a binder, but instead of heading to class, she left the building soon after. Surveillance footage captured her entering and exiting the school several times before leaving entirely. After leaving school, Makelya made her way to a TD Canada Trust branch. Surveillance footage showed her walking into the bank with her phone in hand. She went to a teller and withdrew $55 from her account. After leaving the bank, she stood outside and appeared to be talking on her phone. However, phone records later revealed that no calls were made using her phone on April 12th. Investigators believe she was using a messaging or calling app to communicate with someone. Makelya then tried to pawn 2 rings at a nearby shop but was unsuccessful. She continued on to Tim Hortons, where she purchased a coffee and sat down to use her phone. Surveillance footage shows her leaving the cafe after some time and walking around the area before returning again. While at Tim Hortons, she was seen using her phone to send messages and make calls. Later that morning, Makelya returned briefly to Sacred Heart High School. While there, she spoke to 2 students and mentioned plans to take a bus to Regina for a vacation. One of the students noted that Makelya appeared to have 2 phones with her. She left the school again a few minutes later, and surveillance footage confirmed her departure. Makelya was next seen at the Trail Stop restaurant inside the STC bus depot. According to an employee, she arrived sometime between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. and asked about the bus schedules to Regina. However, she did not purchase a ticket. She was seen leaving the bus depot sometime between 1 p.m. and 1:45 p.m. A man with a flaming cross tattoo was initially reported to have left with her, but RCMP later clarified that the man had only held the door for her and was not involved in her disappearance. When Makelya's grandmother arrived at Sacred Heart High School later that day to pick her up, she wasn't there. Efforts to contact her went unanswered, and her phone was later found to have been turned off the following morning. This marked the last known connection to Makelya, leaving investigators and her family with few clues about what happened to her. The timeline of Makelya's movements on April 12th suggests that she may have been planning to meet someone or leave Yorkton. From her visit to the bank and pawn shop to her inquiries about bus schedules, her actions seemed deliberate yet puzzling. Her family and friends maintained that she had no history of running away and was deeply connected to her loved ones. Speculation about her disappearance includes the possibility that she was lured by someone she met online, though no evidence has been found to confirm this theory. Another possibility is that she encountered foul play, but without evidence, the mystery remains unresolved. Makelya's family has worked tirelessly to keep her case in the public eye. Her mother Paula has made numerous public appeals, urging anyone with information to come forward. Despite years of searching, no breakthroughs have been made. The lack of answers has left a painful void for her family, who continue to hope that one day they will learn the truth. Makelya Bali's disappearance remains one of Canada's most baffling unsolved cases. The fragments of her final day, her visits to the bank, Tim Hortons and the bus depot, paint a haunting picture of a young girl caught in a situation that defies explanation. As of today, her case remains open, with her family and community holding on to hope that someday the truth will emerge. Until then, the search for Makelya Bali continues. Claudia Lawrence was a young woman living a seemingly ordinary but happy life in York, England. Born on February 27, 1974, to Peter and Joan Lawrence, Claudia was the second of two daughters. Her father was a well-known and highly respected solicitor, and her mother managed the family home. Claudia grew up in a comfortable household alongside her older sister Ali. She had a happy childhood, characterized by a strong sense of family and a close bond with her parents and sister. Even after her parents divorced when Claudia was older, she maintained close relationships with both. From an early age, Claudia exhibited a bright and vivacious personality. She was sociable and friendly, easily making friends wherever she went. Her upbringing included an excellent education at York College for Girls, where she developed a strong academic foundation. While Claudia was known for her fun-loving and adventurous nature, she also had a serious side which became apparent as she discovered her passion for cooking. After completing her education, she pursued her culinary interests at a local catering college. Her dedication and skill led her to become a qualified chef, working at various restaurants and hotels in and around York. While Claudia enjoyed the fast-paced environment of restaurant kitchens, the unsociable hours began to take a toll. Long shifts often kept her away from her family and friends, whom she valued deeply. Seeking a better work-life balance, Claudia secured a position at Goodricke College at the University of York, where she worked as a chef in the campus cafeteria. Her employer described her as reliable, hardworking, and punctual, a model employee. The job allowed her to maintain a more predictable schedule, which suited her desire for a simpler, more connected life. In 2007, Claudia purchased a quaint cottage in York, located just 3 miles from her workplace. The move marked an important step in her life, symbolizing her independence. She quickly became part of the local community, frequenting the nearby Nag's Head pub, where she was a regular and well-liked patron. Claudia's cheerful demeanor made her a familiar face among her neighbors and the pub's staff. However, despite her sociable nature, she was private about certain aspects of her life. She had a series of short-term relationships but preferred not to share details with her family or friends. On March 18, 2009, Claudia's day began like any other. She started her shift at Goodricke College at 6 a.m. and worked until 2 p.m. CCTV footage captured her leaving work on foot, carrying her rucksack, and later passing a shop near her house. Along the way, she was seen by a neighbor, and a colleague offered her a lift home, dropping her off at 2:50 p.m. That evening, Claudia spoke to her mother Joan over the phone. They chatted about plans for the upcoming Mother's Day, with Claudia sounding upbeat and relaxed. She mentioned that her car was in the shop for repairs, so she would need to walk to work the next morning. Their conversation ended with no indication that anything was amiss. The following day, Thursday, March 19th, Claudia did not show up for her morning shift at Goodricke College. This was highly unusual for someone as punctual and dependable as Claudia. Her manager attempted to call her, but the phone went to voicemail. Later that evening, Claudia was supposed to meet her friend Susie Cooper at the Nag's Head pub, but she failed to appear. Concerned, Susie repeatedly tried to contact Claudia, but her calls and messages went unanswered. On Friday, March 20th, Susie reached out to Goodricke College to inquire if anyone had seen Claudia. Learning that she had missed work for 2 consecutive days, Susie contacted Claudia's father, Peter, to express her concerns. Alarmed, Peter drove to Claudia's cottage to check on her. Inside, everything appeared normal. The bed was neatly made, breakfast dishes were in the sink, and her belongings seemed untouched. However, several items were missing: her mobile phone, a blue rucksack she typically used for work, and her hair straighteners. It appeared that Claudia had left for work as usual on Thursday morning, but had never arrived. Peter reported his daughter missing to North Yorkshire Police later that day. Initially, the authorities treated Claudia's disappearance as low priority, assuming she had voluntarily gone away for a few days. However, her family vehemently disagreed, insisting that Claudia would never leave without telling someone. As days turned into weeks with no contact or evidence, the case escalated into a suspected murder investigation. Police explored numerous theories, including the possibility of an accident or medical emergency. However, extensive searches of Claudia's usual route to work yielded no clues. Investigators eventually concluded that Claudia had likely been abducted and murdered, possibly by someone she knew. This theory was supported by statistical data, indicating that most murder victims are killed by acquaintances. CCTV footage played a central role in the investigation. Cameras captured a person walking toward an alley behind Claudia's house on the evening of March 18th, and another individual walking in the same area early the next morning. Despite public appeals to identify these individuals, they were never located, and their connection to the case remains uncertain. A witness came forward, reporting a sighting of a man and a woman resembling Claudia on Melrose Gate Bridge at approximately 5:35 a.m. on March 19th. The man was described as thin, smoking with his left hand, and wearing a hoodie and combat trousers. Unfortunately, this lead did not result in any breakthroughs. Investigators uncovered additional evidence suggesting potential links to Cyprus, where Claudia had vacationed and explored job opportunities. Phone records revealed connections to people in the area, prompting police to extend their inquiries overseas. However, these leads proved inconclusive. Years later, advances in forensic testing identified male DNA on a cigarette butt found in Claudia's car. While this discovery offered a glimmer of hope, it did not lead to an arrest or identification of a suspect. 5 years after Claudia's disappearance, previously overlooked CCTV footage was aired on Crime Watch. The footage showed a silver Ford Focus hatchback driving along Claudia's street. The car's brake lights came on as it approached her house, suggesting the driver might have been observing the property. Another vehicle of interest was a white Vauxhall Astra van captured by a bus camera, parked near Claudia's house for 30 minutes on the evening of March 18th. Despite these promising leads, the drivers of both vehicles were never identified, leaving these clues unresolved. In a chilling development, Christopher Halliwell, a convicted murderer serving life sentences for the killings of Cian O'Callaghan and Becky Godden Edwards, became a suspect. A witness description of the man seen on Melrose Gate Bridge closely matched Halliwell's physical appearance and habits, including smoking with his left hand. During a recorded conversation in custody, Halliwell referenced 8 murders, raising suspicions that he might be linked to other unsolved cases. Detective Stephen Fulcher, who investigated Halliwell's known murders, suggested that 8 is probably an underestimate. Despite these unsettling details, Halliwell denied any involvement in Claudia's disappearance, and police found no concrete evidence tying him to the case. Claudia's disappearance had a profound impact on her family and the local community. Her father, Peter Lawrence, became a tireless advocate for the rights of families of missing persons. His efforts culminated in the introduction of Claudia's Law in 2019, which allows guardians to manage the financial affairs of missing individuals after 90 days of absence. Tragically, Peter passed away in 2021 without knowing what happened to his daughter. Today, Claudia Lawrence's case remains one of the UK's most enduring mysteries. Despite the years that have passed, her family and friends continue to search for answers, refusing to give up hope. Claudia's story is a painful reminder of the anguish faced by families of missing persons and the importance of persistence in the pursuit of justice. Damein Nettles was a bright, adventurous 16-year-old from the Isle of Wight, an island off the southern coast of England. Born in 1980, he was raised in a loving family by his parents, Valerie and Edward, along with his siblings. Damein was known for his sharp wit, boundless curiosity, and a love for the outdoors. Growing up, he had a wide circle of friends and enjoyed exploring new interests. He was passionate about music and often played the guitar, delighting in entertaining his friends. Though carefree and always looking for fun, Damein was deeply connected to his family and friends. On the night of November 2, 1996, Damein set out for a regular evening with friends, but it turned into a nightmare that would haunt his family and the Isle of Wight community for decades. That Saturday night, Damein and his friends planned to hang out in Cowes, a lively town known for its seaside charm. It wasn't unusual for Damein to go out on weekends to visit local spots, meet up with friends, and enjoy the night. The evening began at a friend's house, and as the night wore on, Damein's group headed to a youth disco in Cowes town center. They eventually split up, and Damein found himself alone. However, being confident and outgoing, Damein decided to continue exploring the night on his own. He wandered the streets of Cowes and visited several different locations, one of which was Yorkie's Chip Shop, a local fish and chip shop. CCTV footage from Yorkie's Chip Shop would later become a key piece of evidence in the investigation. The shop's surveillance camera captured Damein entering and interacting with people inside. He seemed relaxed and at ease, casually chatting with the staff. However, this would be the last confirmed sighting of Damein. After leaving the shop, he disappeared into the night, and his movements after that remain unknown. When Damein didn't return home, his family was immediately concerned. Valerie and Edward tried to reassure themselves that he might have stayed over at a friend's house. However, as the hours passed with no word from Damein, their worry escalated into panic. The next day, on November 3, 1996, they reported him missing to the Isle of Wight police, triggering a search for the teenager. The investigation began with the police attempting to retrace Damein's steps from the night before. They interviewed witnesses and scoured Cowes for any signs of him. The CCTV footage from Yorkie's Chip Shop provided a timestamp and a visual of Damein's last known movements. In the footage, he seemed calm and collected, showing no indication that anything was amiss. Beyond this footage, however, there were no clear leads. Various witnesses reported seeing Damein walking through the streets of Cowes after midnight, but none of these sightings led to significant breakthroughs. The police reviewed hours of surveillance footage from other cameras around the town, but they were unable to find additional sightings of Damein after he left the chip shop. As days turned into weeks, the police, friends, and family intensified their search efforts. They organized extensive searches of the local area, including surrounding woods, coastlines, and rivers, but no trace of Damein was ever found. The police faced a lack of solid evidence, which hindered the investigation from progressing. Theories emerged, with some speculating that Damein might have had an accident, possibly falling into the water or getting lost in the woods. Others wondered whether he had been a victim of foul play. Despite these theories, the lack of physical evidence made it difficult for investigators to move forward. The community's efforts to find Damein continued, with volunteers helping to search and supporting the Nettles family. The impact of Damein's disappearance on his family was profound. His mother Valerie became an advocate for missing persons, not only focusing on finding Damein but also raising awareness about other missing children. She organized events, appeared in the media, and worked tirelessly with law enforcement to keep her son's case alive. Valerie's determination to find answers led her to push the investigation forward, even as the case began to grow colder. In 2007, over a decade after Damein's disappearance, the police announced that they were treating his case as a murder investigation. This shift came after new witnesses provided information suggesting foul play. Despite this renewed focus, there were no arrests, and Damein's body was never found. The police questioned several individuals and even made arrests in 2011, but the suspects were released due to insufficient evidence. Over the years, rumors circulated about what might have happened to Damein. Some believed he had been the victim of a random act of violence, while others speculated he had been involved in an altercation that escalated. Without concrete evidence, these theories remained unproven. Despite the ongoing mystery, the CCTV footage from Yorkie's Chip Shop remained one of the few solid pieces of evidence. Investigators have revisited the footage multiple times, hoping to uncover new insights, but the footage offers little beyond confirming that Damein was alive and seemingly fine when he left the shop. Damein's family continues to advocate for answers. His mother, Valerie, remains active on social media and uses other platforms to keep his case in the public eye. She is hopeful that one day someone will come forward with the information needed to solve the mystery. Despite the passing years, the community of the Isle of Wight has not forgotten Damein's disappearance. and they continue to support the Nettles family in their search for answers. Today, Damein's case remains unsolved, and the investigation is still open. The police continue to pursue leads and encourage anyone with information to come forward. The Nettles family remains determined to find out what happened to their son and continues to push for justice. Damein's disappearance has had a lasting impact on the Isle of Wight community. His story is one of heartbreak, mystery, and a family's relentless fight for the truth. Though the case has grown cold, the hope for answers has not faded. The search for Damein Nettles continues, and his family remains steadfast in their commitment to finding out what happened to their beloved son. This enduring mystery highlights the pain faced by families of missing persons and the importance of keeping these stories alive. The community and family hope that someday, someone will come forward with the crucial information needed to finally bring closure to this tragic chapter. Emma Fillipoff was a vibrant, creative, and free-spirited young woman who captured the hearts of those who knew her. Born in 1986 in Perth, Ontario, she grew up in a loving family with her parents and 3 siblings. Emma was the kind of person who found beauty in the little things, often expressing herself through poetry, photography, and art. Her family described her as sensitive, thoughtful, and deeply imaginative, but also as someone who preferred to keep her struggles private. In 2011, Emma decided to leave her small hometown and move to Victoria, British Columbia. She was drawn to the city for its natural beauty and vibrant art community, seeking inspiration and a sense of independence. Her life in Victoria was unconventional. She lived a nomadic lifestyle, moving between temporary accommodations such as women's shelters and occasionally sleeping in her red Mazda van. While she appeared to embrace this way of life, it became clear over time that Emma was battling inner turmoil. By 2012, Emma's behavior had become increasingly erratic, and those closest to her began noticing changes. She had started isolating herself and exhibited signs of anxiety and paranoia. Friends described her as deeply introspective, often lost in her thoughts. Despite these challenges, she maintained a kind and creative spirit, often engaging with strangers and sharing her poetry with those who would listen. On November 28, 2012, Emma's mother, Shelley, received a call that would change her life forever. The staff at a women's shelter in Victoria informed her that Emma had been acting unusually and expressed concerns about her mental well-being. Emma had been staying at the shelter on and off for months, but her behavior had grown more troubling in recent days. Alarmed, Shelley decided to travel to Victoria to bring her daughter home. She booked a flight for the following day, but by the time she arrived, Emma was gone. The events of November 28th are both heartbreaking and puzzling. That morning, Emma visited a local 7-Eleven store several times, purchasing a prepaid credit card and other small items. Surveillance footage from the store shows her looking distressed and hesitant. She appeared barefoot, clutching her belongings tightly, as if afraid or uncertain about something. Later that day, she called a local towing company to inquire about retrieving her van, which had been impounded. However, she never followed through with the arrangements. That evening, Emma was seen near the Fairmont Empress Hotel. Witnesses reported her pacing back and forth, appearing confused and upset. Police officers were called to check on her after someone expressed concern for her safety. The officers spent about 45 minutes speaking with Emma, trying to assess whether she needed help. Despite her unusual behavior, she assured them that she was fine. The officers left her alone, and Emma walked away. This was the last confirmed sighting of her. In the days that followed, a massive search effort was launched. Emma's red Mazda van was found abandoned in a parking lot near the Chateau Victoria Hotel. Inside the van were her personal belongings, including her passport, laptop, and clothing. This discovery raised more questions than answers. Why would Emma leave behind essential items if she was planning to disappear voluntarily? Was she running away from something, or did she encounter foul play? Shelley Fillipoff was devastated by her daughter's disappearance. She stayed in Victoria for months, tirelessly searching for Emma and pleading with the public for information. Posters with Emma's face were plastered across the city, and her story was shared widely in the media. Despite these efforts, no concrete leads emerged. Over the years, there have been reported sightings of Emma in various locations, including Vancouver and even as far away as California. One of the most intriguing leads came in 2014, when a man was seen removing one of Emma's missing person posters in Vancouver's Gastown district. When confronted, the man claimed to know Emma and stated that she had run away to escape her family. Despite this suspicious encounter, the man was never identified, and his connection to Emma remains unclear. Many theories have been proposed over the years. Some believe that Emma chose to disappear intentionally, seeking solitude or a fresh start. Others suspect foul play, given her vulnerable state at the time. There are also those who consider the possibility of an accident, perhaps in the wilderness surrounding Victoria. The lack of concrete evidence has made it impossible to determine what truly happened. Emma's family continues to hold out hope that she will one day be found. Shelley has been a tireless advocate for her daughter, working to keep her story in the public eye. She describes Emma as a gentle and caring soul who deserves to be remembered and found. Despite the passing years, the Fillipoff family remains steadfast in their search for answers. The case of Emma Fillipoff is a reminder of how fragile and unpredictable life can be. It's a story of love, loss, and unanswered questions. Emma's disappearance has touched the hearts of many, serving as a call to action for those who seek to help the missing and their families. As the search for Emma continues, her family and supporters remain determined to uncover the truth, no matter how long it takes.